Part 109. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1091. Chapter 1078. Who dares to be mixed into the gate of our Huaishan temple and destroy the prohibition of our Huaishan temple? Who actually mixed into the mountain gate of our Huaishan religion? Even the Sanking destroyer was destroyed. All the monks of the heavenly religion have an incredible sense of unreality. At this moment, the two feelings are distinct. Many of them are extremely arrogant and can't believe that some people dare to sneak in to make it difficult, but the superiors and older figures of the opposite heavenly church are rather shocked because they know very well that the powerful, in addition to the very strict external perimeter restrictions, the ancient temple that rushed up was also occupied by more than one Jindan monk. Those who can enter it and destroy all the three gods of forbidden destruction must be extraordinary people. Moreover, these three eradication of God's prohibition, outsiders simply do not know. This is one of the strongest foundations of Huaishan religion. But now, it turned out to be directly destroyed. Wei Suo breaks through the Huaishan Jiao mountain gate, and all those who do not want to be enemies with me, go out of the Huaishan Jiao mountain gate, or don't shoot. At this time, a voice like the soldier was born, with a wave of extreme skyward and strong, not only resounded through the mountain gate of Huaishan Jiao, but even outside the gate of Huaishan Jiao, the establishment of 5 more mountain tops Tiancheng, you can hear clearly. What? Upon hearing this voice, many of the extremely arrogant monks of the heavenly heaven were all screaming, and they were so horrified that even the magic weapons and instruments in their hands fell to the ground. What? At this time, all the monks in Huaishan city have also been alarmed by the great changes in the Huaishan church. At this moment, all the monks in Huaishan city were completely shocked. It was only previously reported that Wei Suo had been killed by Emperor Tiandao with an inheritance weapon, and many monks of Huaishan Jiao and Emperor Tiandao had arrived in Haixian city, and even Wang Wei's divine light body appeared in it. Haixian city, but at this moment, Wei Suo actually appeared in the gate of Hua Tianxiao. And this is definitely not an illusion. Almost at the same time that the sound swayed the world, a round of grey remnant moon with horror power and a huge white mountain, has appeared in the gate of the Huaishan religion, and it was severely suppressed. In a temple of heavenly religion. Boom. At the same time that the palace was completely transformed into fly ash, it even burst out like a black tail feather cast by countless irons, and raised the area hundreds of feet round to the ground. Those black tail feather-like divine lights are also swaying with a powerful divine aura, which is obviously also the prohibition left over by the powerful before the heavenly heaven religion, but is now broken by Wei Suo. Ah! 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 Countless celestial monks fell into a complete panic, and countless escapes ran around in the white mist everywhere like headless flies. Wei Suo did not fall at all, but appeared in the gate of Huaishan Jiao. Who can stop it? A piece of dark light was shot from a mountain in Huaishan Jiao and ran away. At the same time, a circle of cyan divine light rolled out from a palace close to the top of the mountain, like a dragon swinging its tail, and instantly opened the white spirit fog of most of the giant mountains. Wu Guang swept thousands of miles directly upwards, as if hitting the void, not hitting anything at all. But this at least pointed out the direction for everyone. All the people saw that on the side of the dark light, a figure wrapped in red and silver glowing light, under the flash, crossed the sky for dozens of miles. Buzz. The void oscillated again, and the moment that appeared in everyone's sight in the void, a 1,000-handed flying sword appeared in Wei Suo's body. Immediately, the flying swords with a variety of divine light and powerful sword energy all flew downwards at an amazing speed, just like an endless rainstorm, and like an amazing waterfall, instantly hit the mountain of the giant mountain below. That place is the place where the dark lights are shot. Boom. 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 Countless disturbing scalp impacts and puncture sounds. The mountain col was shattered by the powerful power, and everything became a puff of floating soil, flying dust, flying up. It's a pity that Wang Wei's real body didn't come to Haixian City. What about Sushengxiu? He wasn't there, but he just escaped his life. Do you still want to be an enemy with me? At the same time, Wei Suo sneered and strode forward. Boom! A large piece of soaring light was all hit in the empty space, hitting behind him, and a thousand-handed flying sword that smashed everything in that mountain depression into floating soil with a single blow in the mountain below, but from the ground instantly fly out, like a torrent, and roll up wildly, instantly twisting more than 10 monks who shot him into pieces. He turned out to be a two-handed plan. If Wang Wei was physically in Haixian City, I'm afraid he would appear in Haixian City, ambush Wang Wei, and Wang Wei didn't reach Haixian City. Many monks in Huaishan City were horrified and felt Wei Zhuo's calculations. Move! Hua Tianjiao yelled at an elder who was too elder, as if he wanted to order a magic weapon, but Wei Suo just turned his head and glanced at him. Poof! His hand suddenly held the heart unconsciously, a blood arrow burst out of his throat, and his heart seemed to burst instantly. A gleam of light directly broke through the void and struck Wei Suo. Dang, but Wei Suo didn't care at all. Between his eyes, 2 blue divine lights emerged from him, and they broke away, flew around the mountain, and entered a palace. Among what? In that palace, the hearts of the 2 Huaishan monks were all penetrated, and at the same time, they were driven by the powerful Yu Wei and knocked out of the palace. Boom! Almost at the same time, Wei Suo, who had just taken another step in the void, manifested the Dengxian legal area, and collided with the red divine light from a giant mountain that covered 1,000 feet. The red divine light was all shattered, and he did not break through the Dengxian legal area. He transformed. The torrent formed by thousands of flying swords is like a giant dragon, rolling over the mountain, and a large area of more than 10 miles of palaces has all been turned into floating soil. What? At this moment, the mountain protection array of Huaishan Jiao has been damaged. All the monks in Huaishan City can see this battle, and they are completely shocked and speechless. Before Wei Suo attacked the Tianjian sect, he was still extremely strenuous, and his body was broken many times. The essence in the Yuanqi Shenmue God root was almost completely exhausted, but now Wei Suo is simply in the heavenly religion. It is rampant, arrogant, and outrageous. It is completely different. And there must be more than Wei Suo in the Huaishan church right now. Everyone sees that there are many places in which Wei Suo's power is not affected at all, and the aura of light emitted is quickly dimmed. The prohibitions in some places seem to be cracked even more powerfully, and the palaces are all torn apart by the broken power. Boom! One after another, the ancient temple collapsed. The mountain gate, which has been passed down for thousands of years, has become a fly ash. When suddenly, there was a shock of fine gold like the ringing of the king's giant clock. The sound of the sound, chat. What? Someone forcibly entered the compilation site. Many people of the heavenly sect can't help but scream. The most important secret land of Lian Huaishan Jiao, the place where Tibetan scriptures of many books and secrets of Huaishan Jiao were forcibly entered. It's over. At the moment, not only the monks who watched the battle around Huaishan City, but even most of the monks of Dengxianzong had a blank brain, which was full of such ideas. What? In an underground palace in Huaishan Jiao, at least 15 old people in white robes sitting cross-legged all screamed madly. Buzz. As their last glory hit, a huge vitality bloomed in the void. This is an unimaginable, like a chi machine floating in the void, but the first feeling this chi machine gives is that it is so powerful that it can hold the stars, making people even fear from the heart. Can't help crawling to the ground. Woo. Dengxian jurisprudence, the huge white mountain, the horrible sword flow, and a large piece of bright sea transformed from the book of life and death all turned into the air at the same time, and they were severely suppressed. In a trembling loud noise, all the monks around Huaishan City felt that the ground under their feet jumped suddenly, and many palaces in Huaishan city collapsed at the same time. At the same time, Wei Suo didn't stay at all, and he merged with a purple light gleaned from the Huishanhua Tianjiao Buddhist scriptures, and continued to traverse the void, before the huge and terrifying atmosphere fully bloomed. It has disappeared into everyone's perception. Boom! Suddenly there was a loud noise in the Huishanjiao mountain gate. All the people couldn't help but look at the top of the giant mountain, which collapsed completely. The top of the giant mountain where the Huishanjiao mountain gate is located, was collapsed by Wei Suo. The smoke and the rubble rolled like dozens of dragons rolling through the horrifying, broken and unbearable Huishanjiao mountain gate. What? The news spread at an alarming rate for the first time, and the entire Yunling continental earthquake struck. Wei Suo didn't die at all. Although he didn't completely eliminate Huishanjiao, he came and went freely. He almost completely destroyed such a super sect of Huishanjiao. What kind of concept is this? Ah! How is it possible? How could he not die? How many ways does he have to disguise his figure and breath? As soon as this news came out, I didn't know how many monks and powers all made a nearly hysterical roar. What? Especially in the mountain gate of Emperor Tiandao, the piece of inheritance magic weapon was launched with all his strength, thinking that the two old men who had killed Wei Suo, even spit out a breath of blood, and then sat down at the same time, not squinting. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1092. Chapter 1079, Saint King Sect Mountain Gate. Ah! Ah! Many senior figures of Huishanjiao are also almost vomiting blood. The Tianjiao mountain gate was full of turmoil. They found that many warehouses had been forcibly broken into. The materials of magic tools, magic weapons, spirit stones, and even refining utensils, and the elixir planted in the spiritual garden were swept. 7788. What's more, the Huatian compiled scripture hall, where the Buddhist scriptures are stored, has become a shattered temple with broken jade everywhere. Even a complete scripture has not been left. All of this place of Tibetan scripture has been destroyed. Even though many spells and classics can be re-recorded, many of the secrets and even the secrets that are not transmitted are destined to be lost. For such a super sect, the loss of a large number of spirit stones and magic instruments is nothing, but the many damaged heritage prohibitions and such places of Tibetan scriptures are the real foundation. Many of the elders of Huishanjiao see the fragmented Huishan compilation hall, and even under the wailing, they directly hit the wall with their heads, and the foundation left by the ancestors suffered such damage. This is what you are asking for from heavenly cultivation. I have given you a chance. But the thing that made Huatianjiao more vomiting blood has not stopped. Wei Suo suddenly appeared in a city halfway between Haixian City and Huangtiandao Mountain Gate, killing several Huangtiandao monks by means of thunder, while directly killing many jade rune and magic instruments were distributed to many scattered repairs around the city. At this time, many talents of Huishanjiao found that many of the jade and stone monuments that recorded the scriptures were completely disappeared in the fragmented Buddhist scriptures, and no fragments were left. It must have been swept away by the Huizhuo people. The many jade symbols distributed by Wei Suo around that city recorded many techniques of Huishanjiao. Ah! The news spread that many of the elders of Huishanjiao were directly paralyzed on the ground. This is definitely a more devastating blow than the destruction of the Buddhist scriptures. Many of the techniques and exercises of Huishanjiao have been spread out and are known. It is not only the monks of Huishanjiao who are against the enemy, there is no secret words, and more importantly, many of the spells, many disciples in his door, and even the elders are out of reach. Among the sect, only disciples who have made great contributions can be granted one or two powerful spells, but now these spells can be obtained from outside. How much attraction is that to the ordinary disciples themselves? How much cohesion can there be? Huishanjiao, Sushenxiu, if you still want to be my enemy, I will come back. Moreover, Wei Suo distributed many scriptures and instruments of Hui Shenjiao, and many Sangzia were very grateful to him. Before leaving, he also thrown out such a sentence. This makes all the people who teach heaven feel a complete horror. Wei Suo's behavior is too weird. After distributing the scriptures and magical instruments, countless forces secretly tracked his whereabouts, but some people simply disappeared, and some people traced all the fakes he turned out. Doppelganger. Now all the major forces have understood that not only does Wei Suo have an ancient character that makes it difficult to distinguish between true and false, but also has the same breath as an incarnation, and he also has the same difficult to distinguish between true and false. The secret of a fake doppelganger. Except for some great powers, no one can keep up with his imaginary footwork. Who will know where he will appear next time? If you want to attack or ambush him, you must act with him first, in order to know that it is the real body and the fake body, and Wei Suo's current practice has reached the 4 levels of Shenxian, and it is even possible to realize that he and Wang Wei are the same Dharma body, in this way, is even more trivial. When he challenged nearly all the superpowers of several continents with one person, when Wei Suo issued such a statement, the first impression was that it was completely crazy, but only this day, Wei Suo has already given all the kind of world-like momentum. This child is too venomous. The means is so arrogant. Almost all major forces were completely horrified when they heard the news that Hui Shenjiao, even the Tibetan scriptures, were destroyed by Wei Suo. If Wei Suo suddenly infiltrated their mountain gate, what would happen if they suddenly attacked? If Zhongmen becomes a battlefield, even if we can force Wei Suo away, we must suffer unimaginable losses, so for a moment, almost all of the big gates mentioned by Wei Suo are completely closed mountain gates, restricting everyone from entering and leaving. And mobilize all forces to find a variety of magicians, formation mage, consolidate and increase the prohibition of the mountain gate. Some sect gates even completely emptied the area hundreds of miles away from the original mountain gate, and set up a no-man restricted area, and all of them were set up with a ban. Not to mention humans, even if only flies without aura enter, they will definitely be found. In this way, it is equivalent to self-restraint 7 points. These super sects like gods are really likely to be broken by him one by one. Many monks talked in secret. The access of these superpower monks was greatly restricted. The monks who were active outside were also afraid of being killed by Wei Suo. The huge strength could not be fully utilized. And now the Tianqian continent has completely turned into a disordered boundary. Most areas have no monk activities. In addition, most areas with monk activities have now been classified by the Yushenzong and Zixianyuan. Control, unless Weizhuo actively initiates any war, otherwise as long as Weizhuo's people are in the Tianqian continent, the news will not come out at all, and they don't know where they are hiding. The super sect Saint King of Liuhuo continent is very mysterious. There is no adjacent city around the mountain gate, and it is located in a dozen of dead volcanic craters. In the middle of these dozens of dead volcanoes, thousands of miles away, there is a misty mask covering the sky, and there are countless streamers flashing inside. It seems to be an eternal void, making it impossible to see the Holy King Zone mountain gate inside the scene. The only thing that was revealed was a black ancient temple just north of the mountain gate of Saint Wang Zone. This black ancient temple is completely carved from the top of an extinct volcano, exuding the vicissitudes of life. After at least thousands of years, many green trees grow on the entire wall. A black, a wide and long staircase extends from the bottom of the mountain to this black ancient hall. Behind this black ancient temple is a white light door, which is the only entrance to the Holy King sect. At this moment, the Saint King Zone mountain gate was quiet and silent, and there seemed to be a tremendous flow of vitality flowing, giving people the feeling that some kind of amazing inheritance instrument was ready to hit. Who comes to visit? At this moment, a young man appeared suddenly at the gate of the Holy King Zone mountain. In front of this black ancient temple, dozens of bright lights flew from everywhere, and a very nervous group surrounded the young man. This young man, wearing an extremely bright and gorgeous Chinese dress, was the young man who had been passed down by the aristocrats. Wei Suo's current stand-in fairy symbol came from this mysterious young man in Chinese clothes. The breath of this young man in Chinese clothes now has a feeling of cultivating a behemoth, and he must break out of the shell at any time, but he has already reached the peak of Jinden's five-fold cultivation. When this person and Wei Suo last fought, it was Jinden's fourth medium cultivation practice. It hasn't been long before now, but it has already reached Jinden's five-peak cultivation practice. It was terrifying and terrifying. Moreover, this person's exercises are very unique. When Jindan's fourfold cultivation in the middle, the consciousness was no less than that of Weizhuo at that time. With Weizhuo's overwhelming cultivation at that time, in between carelessness, they were all this person escaped, and now this person's consciousness must have soared. In the next Zhou Qingning, I came to see your patriarch, and I wanted to make a deal with your patriarch. You can report that not only can your patriarch's flesh fit quickly, but you can also quickly elevate your patriarch's flesh. The strength may even make your sect master's cultivation more advanced than before. The young Chinese man in a suit was silent, sweeping away from the holy king who was made by Wei Suo to be all grass and trees. Very nervous and frightened Brother Zong said flatly. What? Upon hearing this young man in Chinese clothes, dozens of monks of the holy king zone who came to cross-examine for the first time were all taken aback. Unbelievable, let the sect master's cultivation be restored as before, even more than before. What the are you? What is the origin? One of the most stable monks of the holy king zone took a deep breath immediately, strongly suppressed the shock of the heart, and asked quickly. I'm just a casual repair. All you need to know is that we have a common enemy under you, that is Weizhuo. The young man in Huai said coldly. Invite Zhou Daiyu to enter the mountain gate. At this moment, an old voice came from the mountain gate of Saint King Zone. All the monks of the Holy King sect did not dare to neglect. They all paid a salute to the direction of the mountain gate. Immediately, the three monks, including the monk of the Holy King sect who made inquiries, led the young man in Chinese clothes, passed the black ancient hall and entered the mountain gate of the Holy King sect. Among the gates of the Holy King sect, there are dense black palaces everywhere, built on top of the extinct volcanoes. All are surrounded by black brilliance. It seems to give people an indescribable sense of peace. Huge momentum. In many temples, there are large pools. These large pools are turbulent like boiling water. Many are exuding the smell of pungent sulfur and potions. Many disciples of the Holy King sect are here. Boiling in the pool water is all screaming like a heart-breaking lung. The steam is very thick and gathers in the sky like malaria, covering the sky and covering the sky, making the inside of the Holy King sect more like a magic domain. Immediately after the young man in Chinese clothes entered, an elder Saint Wangzong, who was dressed in a black robe and wearing a fine top hat, greeted him and led him into an underground palace. In this underground palace, there is also a huge medicine pool, surrounded by 5 tall, burly old men with unusually strong blood, and in the middle of the medicine pool, there is a bald and burly man with red skin and blood veins. Like a centipede, it appeared on the surface of the body, and kept twisting. You have the ability to make me fit into the flesh of the house quickly, and even improve the cultivation of the flesh quickly. The bald man looked very painful and stiff, but he made the voice of the holy sect master. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1093. Chapter 1080. What are you going to do? The mysterious young man who had inherited from the Aborigines did not say anything, but his move made the 5 elders around the medicine pool flash in the eyes, and a huge breath suddenly burst out from the 5 elders, giving it feels like there are 5 wild ancient beasts waking up instantly in this underground palace. This young man in mysterious Chinese clothes who claimed to be Zhou Qingning took out a blood-red plant and twisted it. The top turned out to be a strange herb like a snake head, so he wanted to throw it in look in the medicine pool. Relax, with my current cultivation practice, it is impossible to be an opponent of the 5 of you. Even if I am a member of Weisuo, with his personality, I will never lose a friend in order to kill an opponent. The young man in the mysterious Chinese suit still said very coldly when he saw the 5 elders immediately facing the enemy. Roar. Hearing Zhou Qingning's mention of Weisuo's name, it is obvious that he has already cast the law of seizing the house and reoccupies a flesh of the Saint King sect master. In the hot medicine pool, he suddenly roared like a beast roar. The water in the pool shook violently. That's it? Why do you have the guts to do business with me? In the roar, the bald man like the devil made such a sound. His meaning was very obvious. With Zhou Qingning's cultivation practice, he was not afraid of Saint Wang's own. Suppress it directly? The ants do not deal with the dragon, this is a well-known criterion in the monastic world. Depending on the current situation and the mysteries in my body, the look of this mysterious young man in Chinese clothes remained unchanged. He glanced at the patriarch of the Holy King in the medicine pool. In the current situation, the patriarch, I'm afraid I won't refuse to add another powerful Taoist to deal with Weisuo, and with my secret technique, although I have to fight, I will definitely not be able to retreat from the body of the Saint King zone, and I will definitely fall here, but I will kill several. The opponent, I am afraid there is no problem. Ah, an old man with a terrible breath in his body suddenly shouted and took a step back, with some painful expression on his face. A powerful method of conquering the consciousness. With your current cultivation, the consciousness of the consciousness is not lost before my previous physical body has not collapsed. Very good, I can give it a try. It was low and the voice became calm. Laugh. This mysterious young man, who gathered all the colors in the world, did not say anything, just reached out a little, and this old herbal medicine that was not known by the few people in his hand was shattered by him, and he all smashed into the sect master in the medicine pool. Gutter, gutter. As soon as this strange foreign herbal medicine hit the medicine pool, the original orange-red medicine liquid turned into purple-red instantly, and bubbles of the size of a bowl mouth appeared. Hiss. The skin, eyeballs, and even nails on the sovereign Saint King's body immediately turned purple-red, and the green muscles moving under the skin swelled up, making a cold airing sound, which looked extremely painful. Metropolitan. The 5 old men with great breath suddenly exclaimed. Well. But after the sound of the king's sex air sucking, he almost made a roaring sound. It seems that you do have a deep understanding of these ancient antidote. You can guarantee that my current body and me, the vitality and spirit of the soul, will soon match, and the cultivation will be restored. What do you want? Forever Saint King Sutra, help me break through Shenxian. Mysterious young man Zhou Qingning looked at the sect master of Saint King and said directly. Your appetite is not small. Sect master Xuanhuan suddenly sneered. Zheng. The mysterious young man said nothing, but flicked his fingers. Between his fingers, there was also a huge mass of blood radiating from his body, and at the same time, there was a sound like an iron knocking between his fingers. This kind of physical strength is nothing to our Saint King. Among the 5 old men, one old man sneered and stretched out 5 fingers, which were almost crystal clear, and there seemed to be countless stars flowing inside. I haven't had time to practice any bodybuilding skills, I just rely on some ancient antidote to raise the flesh to such strength. Zhou Qingning's expression didn't change much, he said indifferently. What? This time, not only the 5 elders, but also the eyes of the Holy King sect master in the medicine pool jumped violently. Your Holy King sect has won me, and it can be said that it has great benefits. Zhou Qingning glanced at the Holy King sect master and said, these 2 conditions I mentioned are definitely for your Holy King section, no loss. You are our elder King Zongqing, the elder. I will not only tell you the eternal Saint King scripture, but also your pattern. How? The sovereign Saint King screamed again. Okay, Then please ask the suzerain to help me break through Shenqian first. This is the arrangement I want to break through. Shenqian. Zhou Qingning nodded, not nonsense, reached out a little, and touched a piece of jade to the 5 old men. In front of you. The people of Emperor Tiandao are simply idiots. Even if the opponent is real and fake, it is impossible to destroy such an inheritance magic weapon. Won't you wait for the other party to hit Zongmen? And excited, while Zhou Qingning and Saint King Sect Master were talking, in the Wanhuang Palace, the son of Wanhuang was swearing by Kakiao Shenjun. The Wanhuanggong Mountain Gate, one of the most mysterious sect gates in Yuhang mainland, is very different from the Saint King section. The entire Wanhuang Palace is built on a flat-topped giant mountain. Like Xiaoshenjia, it is completely covered with barrier eyes. Outside it seems to be nothingness at all, but inside, it is indescribably brilliant, just like a divine dynasty, with a huge square golden city wall on the periphery, up to hundreds of feet, all covered with various runes and filled with various. The relief of this kind of phoenix is magnificent. The countless temples inside are also made of pure gold. Even on the ground, there are golden lights, and in some jade ponds, golden lotus plants are planted. In the palace where the son of Wanhuang ignored the ground, the 4 walls, and the top, all were embossed with strips of divine phoenix. The golden light was brilliant. In the spacious hall, there were more than 30 monks gathered. They are all monks who cultivated above Jindan, and one of them is an old man wearing a golden royal costume. This kind of inheritance instrument, Emperor Tiandao, is at most 2 pieces. The mountain gates of the Huaitian religion are all broken, only relying on something I don't know, to shock Weisuo, at most only the power of self-preservation, and these 2 sects. The union is useless. The old man in the golden imperial glanced at the violently corrupted son Xuanhuan, and solemnly said, "The only thing that is feasible right now is to marry the Black Bodhi. She had a good impression on you before we proposed marriage, she should not refuse." "What?" Sun Wanhuang jumped directly from his throne. "Want me to marry that fat woman? What does that have to do? The foreign minister can change it at any time by using spells. This is a big disaster related to our life and death. It is only related to the cultivation of supernatural powers. It has nothing to do with the skin." The old man wearing a golden royal coat and the rest celebrities and elders exhort them with their right words. "That's also, anyway, it's okay to make her look like a witch goddess." Master Wanhuang froze for a moment, but then immediately growled, crying tearlessly, "No. Her image has penetrated into my heart, and I thought of it. If she looks like that, I want to vomit. Also, with her temperament, I'm afraid it can't be transformed into anyone. If I let her change her description, I'm afraid she would be angry. For your own consideration, if you don't want to take revenge and ignore life and death, you don't have to think about it, but Weisuo is very likely to come at any time." The old man in the golden royal coat and the other old men said so in a word. It is no longer to say anything. There is such a strong man born, at such a young age, that's how it's done, and the skills and spells that he has cultivated are so unfathomable, he can't be kept in the world. Just after the son of Wanhuang, he was mad again. When screaming, in a place where darkness has always shrouded, a palace made entirely of blue fine gold made such a sound. Then, a monk wrapped in blue light stepped out of it. At the moment when the monk wrapped in blue light stepped out, all the starlights in the whole night seemed to drop sharply, as if those stars were attracted. An inexplicably huge gas machine emanated from the monk's body. The palace where he is located is on a very high mountain, and all the surrounding mountains are lower than this mountain, overlooking the whole earth covered by night. Boom! And as soon as the monk came out and burst into a powerful air machine, the dark earth shook the ground. Wu, lotus, the monks in countless places worshipped religiously towards the place where the famous monk appeared, and all issued strange cries. It seemed that in the eyes of these monks, the whole body was wrapped in the monks in blue light are their gods. They absolutely can't give you a lot of time at the same time. Weisuo, Ling Longtian, Jia, including the witch goddess, etc., all gathered in a barren mountain outside the sky dome of the Yunling mainland. Ling Longtian and the old man in green robe said to Weizhuo as they counted many things from the teachings of Huishan. Cunning rabbit 3 caves. Now everyone such as Weizhuo, Ling Longtian, Jia, etc., stayed in one place, dug a deep cave temporarily in accordance with the habits of the previous Weizhuo, and absolutely did not stay in a place for a long time. Just see who is faster, Weizhuo nodded fiercely. Although this time the mountain gate of Huishanjiao was breached, and a stroke was severely scraped, the inheritance of Emperor Tiandao also made him very palpitated, as well as the Kikai in the gate of Huishanjiao, very terrifying, and also has the ability to kill him. Although these superpowers are in the bright place, they are very disadvantageous in ambushing him in the dark, but these superpowers must have some amazing backgrounds. If there is no one that can give them a blow, it may be that these superpowers, the power can only be like the imperial family and the great palace, completely expressing defeat. Those who still refuse to accept the loss so far must have some capital. And now everyone knows that his exercises are very against the sky. To deal with him, he must definitely deal with it as soon as possible. No one can fight him for a long time. It must be a thunder blow to him in the fastest possible time. And what he has to do now is to compete with the whole world. See if the other party's strength is stronger, or his cultivation ability and supernatural powers will improve faster. Liwa, I will let you come back, nodded fiercely, and after expressing his absolute understanding to Ling Longtian, Weizhuo turned his head again and said this to the other side. There, a slender body was wrapped in an overcast black robes, and his body was lingering and very cold. After hearing Weizhuo's words, the slim body was a little stiff, but nodded obediently. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1094. Chapter 1081. Flying broken arm in the air. What? Marriage of Xuanhuan Palace and Prince Huang and marriage of Black Bodhi. Where is the Black Buddha mentioned? He Bodhi Tianmu is the master of the Daxizong of the Skyfalling mainland. The Daxizong is the super ancestor of the west of the Skyfalling mainland, and the west of the Skyfalling mainland is itself the place where the various meteorite gods of the Skyfalling mainland produce the most. This Black Bodhi, the Heavenly Mother, is very mysterious. Although almost no one in the entire Skyfalling mainland has seen its magical powers displayed, the marriage between Xuanhuang Palace and Daxizong is definitely to use the power of the Black Bodhi Heavenly Mother to deal with Weizhuo. Above Master Xuanhuang. Just after Weizhuo suddenly appeared in Huishanjiao and cut off all the hilltops of Huishanjiao, a sensational news reached Yunling continent. Even the sect gates that have fallen to the mainland have been dragged in. It's really one person moving the world. Although many people have long known that these superpowers that are enemies with Weizhuo will definitely launch a variety of forces, but even the ancestral gates of the Skyfalling mainland that are almost always isolated from other monastic circles are involved. This war was burning too violently. And shortly after the news of Xuanhuang Palace came out, another news came into the Yunling continent. The huge energy of the Shenxian breakthrough appeared above the Zhongtianzili mountain gate, and even formed naturally. A huge sea of thunder covered the whole incense above the mountain gate, and the time of the incense sticks did not go away. This is not the out of phase of the Jindan monk's breakthrough to the Shenxian monk. All people inferred that it might be that sect master Zhongtianzili returned to the mountain gate after a big loss, and used what was sealed and inherited to break through the fourfold cultivation practice of Shenxian. Coincidentally, the Holy King sect of Liuhuo continent also had news that reached Yunling continent, which was horrifying. The mountain gate of the Holy King sect successively heard two violent energetic sucks. One was obviously Jindan monk broke through to Shenxian, a huge light person landed in the sky, and this Jindan monk who broke through to Shenxian was repaired. The exercises must be extremely extraordinary. When the huge light man landed, it was also accompanied by the sky of colorful clouds and various rains of flowers. And the next time, it should be Shen Qianmensio's breakthrough, but there was an amazing energy absorption. Why Suo forced these super sects to be too ruthless? Which of these behemoths was not accumulated over thousands of years, is now forced to be too ruthless, and everything that can be used is used? It is not a matter of just one or two sects. But what a terrifying force this is when so many schools add up. This is equivalent to thousands of years of savings, and all of them broke out at once in our time. No matter whether this battle was won by Wei Suo, or whether these super sects finally won, this must be the most wonderful era in tens of thousands of years. I don't know how many powerful tools will be born. I don't know how many powerful powers will be created. Many monks are very excited. They do not know the fact that all the sky dome is about to break. They are just excited to live in this era. They only know that in this splendid era, they are likely to usher in more opportunities. Guangfa Tiangong. In a palace, there are 4 superiors of Guangfa Tiangong, the current palace owner of Guangfa Tiangong, a surviving old antique, and 2 real elders. According to the current situation, I would rather hope to win Wei Suo Tianruochen. The current lord of Guangfa Tiangong is a middle-aged man dressed as a Taoist, with a handsome face and a moon-white robe. It looks very refreshing and elegant. At this moment he sighed, apparently also in talks with the other 3 people in the Guangfa Tiangong about Wei Suo and these super big battles. Since the Battle of Zheqiai, several old-fashioned figures of 3 or more Jindans in Guangfa Tiangong have all fallen. The original strength is still far above the corpse sect, second only to the sect of Huaishan religion. Dazongmen, now only he and a surviving old antique Jusha real person are Jindan monks. At the moment, the entire Patriarch's Hall looked empty, with a lot of positions vacant, and looked very cold. Yes, if it is the Emperor Tiandao who wins, I am afraid that the days of many ancestors of the Yunling continent will be more sad in the future. This person will not have much intersection with us when he acts, and this person has also publicly promised that he can to provide protection to our ancestors who have peace talks with him, but to act according to this person is extremely credible. The 2 elders with real powers also laughed hardly. Even if Emperor Tiandao and Huaishan Church win, with the strength of the ancestors of the Yunling continent now, who knows who will dominate the Yunling continent in the future? The old antique Jushu of Guangfa Tiangong glanced at the other 3, sighed. Uncle Shi's words are very true. Tianruo, the master of Guangfa Tiangong Palace, took a deep breath and said, "Today I invite you to discuss with me, just to remove our important secret place such as our Tibetan Buddhist place. This matter is not too late." Jeju nodded his head, and seemed not to be surprised at all. Even after waiting for the right place, some important classics in the Tibetan scriptures can be destroyed first. It is in the hands of others. Now that the chaos has started, and very extraordinary things are done at times, I want to ask the sect master not to stick to routines, some secret techniques, and also pass it to disciples who are trustworthy enough. I think so too. I am afraid that many of the other sects have already done something extraordinary. How can I eat the ancients? While Tianruo, the lord of Guangfa Tiangong Palace said so, suddenly a white light shot in. Is there a Jindan 5-level monk who is in a hurry to seek advice? As soon as Bai Guan was caught in his hand, his consciousness was only swept away, and Tianruochen's face immediately showed a surprised look. Jindan's 5 priests? What is the way? The other 3 important figures in Guangfa Tiangong were also surprised. I don't know, it's just casual repairs. Jindan's 5-tier monk asked for courtesy, not to be neglected. Seeing the other party's intentions first, and then talking about it, Tianruo real person immediately stood up and took the lead to the outside. I am Weizhuo. Tianruochen's side had just seen a yellow-robed monk outside the mountain gate. He hadn't had time to ask for a voice, and a voice had directly entered his ears. What? Tianruochen's head was directly numb, and could not help but exclaimed. Wei. Don't be nervous, you have peace talks with me. The offerings have been dedicated to Dengxian City, but I can't get them in the past, so I come to your mountain gate to pick up some things I want. As for those offerings, you can take it back after 10 days. I only need to get something useful for my cultivation, you can rest assured, but I have taken something, you must not reveal it. Tianru. A real person trembles, and has not had time to say anything, Wei Suo's voice has passed into his ears. Wei Shenjun, please enter the mountain gate. Tianru. A real person took a deep breath, tried to control his shocking mind, and quickly greeted Wei Suo to the mountain gate of Guangfa Tiangong. Only half an hour later, the figures of Wei Suo and Tianru. A real people flew out of a palace in Guangfa Tiangong, then Wei Suo did not stay, and left directly, disappearing into the void outside the Guangfa Tiangong Inn. Everyone thought that he would go to Dengxian City to take all the worship of these ancestors. He didn't expect that he had any plans to go at all. Who would have thought that this person would come directly to our ancestors and take some things he wanted? What does it mean to take those things? Shoo! 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 When Wei Suo left the Guangfa Tiangong, dozens of escapes were flying through a wild wilderness. Among these dozens of escapes, there is a young man with a unique costume and a wealth of gods, such as jade, and an extraordinary manner. This group of young people are not low cultivated, and most of them are divided into 3 or more levels. The first impression of a monk is that they are a group of elite disciples from a large sect. At the moment, each of these young monks is separated by an area of about a few miles. It seems that they have opened a large net and are searching for something carefully. And in the wilderness of these young monks, there are snowflakes floating in the sky, and the mountains and forests below are all icy and snowy, very cold. Someone came. Suddenly, these dozens of young monks were stunned, and in the high altitude far ahead of them, a little shimmer suddenly appeared, and then the shimmer continued to expand, but it was indigo blue. Guanghua flees in high altitude. Who is it? What is its origin? Such an amazing escape. Not a monk's escape. Is this news correct, that the true Martial Star Corps really flew here? A young monk wearing a white vest first filled his eyes with surprise. Go. No. It's not the true Martial Star Corps. What is this? All these dozens of young monks immediately flew towards the indigo brilliance, but when the indigo brilliance was only hundreds of miles away, the eyes of the dozens of young monks were all it was instantly widened. The path that flew at an alarming speed was not what they were looking for. When the sect master Jinwu fell, he was uncontrolled and flew out of the star core of Jinwu, but a huge, indigo blue broken arm. What arm is this? How can someone's arm be so huge? How could there be such a thing, flying in the air? What a powerful mana fluctuation, is the energy of the magic weapon. What magic weapon was born? Suddenly, the dozens of young monks all shook, and as soon as they woke up at the beginning of their dreams, they rushed towards the broken arm of indigo blue. The broken arm of indigo is several feet long, like an arm broken by a demon. It looks like skin, bones, meridians, and this huge indigo broken arm is flying in the sky. Above the cross-section, there was a trace of vitality flowing out, and there seemed to be a trace of blue blood flying. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1095. Chapter 1082. Between Woman and Woman. What happened? Suddenly, dozens of young monks were very surprised, and all could not help but stop. Although this indigo blue broken arm has vitality fluctuations in it, it is obviously only a magical power fixed by the magic power. This indigo blue broken arm was only previously hit by some kind of power, hit a very high altitude, and then flew like a meteorite. Fall down. But at this moment, this huge indigo blue broken arm suddenly shocked, showing a layer of indigo blue brilliance. Swoosh. This huge indigo blue broken arm suddenly changed Fei Dun's position and flew towards a young monk wearing a green shirt. Brother Song. When the other young monks exclaimed, they saw that the young monk wearing the green shirt was also very surprised, and he wanted to block it. Buzz. But at this moment, there was a sudden shock in the void, and a huge gas machine that was completely different from these young monks made all these young monks completely horrified. Immediately, a bright light emerged from the huge indigo blue broken arm, but it was a gyro-length gyro. This gyro is made of fine gold of two colors of black gold and blue. The two colors of fine gold are mixed together to form a unique texture on the surface of the gyro. The huge air machine was emitted from this gyro, which made the young monk wearing a green shirt almost unable to move. In an instant, the breath of this gyro was regained, and it was suspended in front of the green shirt boy with the broken arm of indigo blue. The gyros of ebony and blue twisted gleaming brightly, suspending in the void and trembling slightly, seemingly beckoning to the green shirt teenager. Did Gu Bao automatically recognize the Lord? Is this ancient treasure a fairy? In addition to the undecided young man in green shirt, the eyes of other young monks were suddenly filled with unspeakable admiration. This bizarre gyro exudes amazing vitality fluctuations and ancient atmosphere, which is obviously an amazing ancient treasure that is extremely old. The green shirt boy hesitated a little, could not help but want to send out a real element, first rolled this strange top-shaped magic weapon to the front to look at it, and then said, but at this time, the huge indigo blue broken arm suddenly shining, a dazzling indigo brilliance instantly enveloped the green shirt boy. Brother Song. The rest of the young monks were taken aback, and exclaimed, "What?" The two young monks nearest to the green shirt boy suddenly yelled in horror. The dazzling indigo brilliance just extinguished, and the entire large indigo broken arm also completely lost its power, and the breath fell, like a huge piece of rotten wood, falling from the sky. But this age seems to be among the youngest monks. Among the youngest monks, his eyes turned into indigo blue. It seemed that he had changed his mind and didn't know the other young monks at all. The young monk in green shirt suddenly stretched out his hand and grabbed the strange top in front of him. Almost at the same time, a horrible ebony and blue twisted divine light swirled from the top of the gyro struck. The two young monks nearest to the green shirt boy just screamed out. The body was completely annihilated in the vortex of dark gold and blue twisted divine light, and instantly turned into fly ash. What? Brother Song, what are you doing? At this moment, almost all other young monks yelled. But it didn't work at all. The young monk in green shirt didn't seem to hear it at all. The swirls of gleaming gold and blue divine light kept magnifying. What? In one breath, except for the 4 or 5 young monks who are farthest away, all the other young monks were turned into fly ash by this divine vortex, and there was no resistance at all. The remaining 4 or 5 young monks were terrified and faceless and fled, but the green young monk was not panicking. He inspired this strange top in his hand, and the vortex of divine light continued. Flying out, the figure of another 4 or 5 young monks was instantly annihilated over this wilderness, leaving nothing behind. And after killing all dozens of young monks in one fell swoop, this young monk in green shirt seemed to be evil, and with his moving hands holding the singular gyro in the air, his eyes were dull, and the indigo blue in his eyes kept shining. Flashing. After a long period of burnt incense, the indigo brilliance in the eyes of this green shirt boy was completely dissipated. It seemed that some strange power was finally completely consumed. The body of this green shirt boy was shocked and recovered. He looked around and saw the strange top spinning in his hands and the empty scene around him. His face appeared very horrified. In a few breaths, the green shirt boy's face was completely white again, and his whole body trembled, seeming to remember what he had just done, and a moment later, the green shirt boy who calmed down consciously. Under the sweep, an extremely ecstatic look appeared in his eyes. Swoosh, at this moment, the green shirt boy didn't stay, and quickly put away the singular tops of ebony and blue twists, and the huge broken arm dropped on the ground, flew quickly in one direction and out. It soon disappeared over this wilderness. Are you ready to go? At the same time that the figure of the green shirt disappeared in that wild wasteland, in a barren mountain of Tianqian continent, Jiya walked into the stone room where the witch goddess was. The original witch goddess seemed to be in a daze. but when she realized that Jia came in, the witch goddess immediately stood up subconsciously and said actively. After Wei Suo captured Deng Xianzong at the beginning, he was unable to find a special weapon for escape, which was unique to Deng Xianzong. This kind of powerful escape ancient treasure seems to have only passed down before the power of Deng Xianzong. There is no method of refining Deng Xiantai in Deng Xianzong, but in the storage of Deng Xianzong's magical treasures, Ling Longtian and Green Robe the old man found at least another magic weapon that could be used specifically to escape from the Immortal Jade Mountain. Immortal Jade Mountain was a sacrifice that turned into a 10-foot white jade mountain flying weapon, and the most powerful thing of this instrument is that it can cover all escape light, and has a strong barrier-like prohibition. Isolate the divine exploration, and leave no breath along the way. This magical instrument was also rare in the era of Ling Longtian, and it is a rare magical instrument specially used for escape. Only monks above the real fairyland can feel the slight fluctuation of the vitality of this magical instrument itself, so as to track the opponent trail. Therefore, this magical instrument is called Apocalypse, which means that as long as it avoids the opponents of the true immortal level. The only shortcoming is that this magic weapon itself is relatively fragile and cannot be used in violent fighting. Otherwise, some of the power's shocks will be broken, and the most regrettable thing is that after every half hour of use, it will be powerful. For energy consumption, you must pay attention to the true element of an hour, and then reaccumulate power, then you can do it again. So in these days, Wei Suo and Jia would fly with this magic weapon for half an hour, then dig a temporary cave house, reaccumulate the power of this magic weapon, and then leave again, never too much stay in the area within 1,000 miles to avoid being traced. These days, the witch goddess and Wei Suo and others continued to move places, and they had almost formed a habit, but this time, it was only half an hour, so this made the witch goddess a little surprised. Now the power of concealing the ancient charms has all been dissipated, and the witch goddess has returned to its original appearance, a natural and noble, unprofessable emperor, but now facing Jia, it seems that there is no such high-ranking person at all. The domineering breath is somewhat restrained. No, I just came over and talked to you. It will be about half an hour before we leave. Walking into the humble stone room where the witch goddess was temporarily excavated, I saw the witch goddess in a hurry. As she stood up, Jia explained immediately. Yes, is there anything? The witch goddess froze. I just want to ask you, when are you going to express your position with him? Jia looked at the witch goddess softly. The witch goddess was even more shocked. She didn't expect Jia to say such a sentence, but her head fell unconsciously, daring not to look directly at Jia's eyes. I know that it is because of this that you are his partner is difficult for you to accept, but in fact we can all see that you don't have much hate for him. Holding her, I continued to say seriously, we are all women, so I know very well that if someone has taken me by any means, I have to force me to be his companion, and I hate this person even I hate to think of this person as disgusting. Even if I commit suicide, I will never be his mate. Moreover, when I did encounter such a situation, he rescued me and Han Wei from Dongjao Resort. Jia looked at the witch goddess, who could not help shaking, and then said seriously, he is me, of course. My buddies are unwilling to share him with anyone, but I naturally do not want to see him have any accidents. I hope that he will survive this war. Now there is not much time. If you help him wholeheartedly, it will be save many. If I really think you hate him very much, I will never come to say these things to you. I don't hate him. The witch goddess was numbed by Jia's words, and her chest undulated violently. Once upon a time, she hated Weizhuo deeply, hoping that all the curses and doom will come upon this person. When she was chosen as the inheritor of the powerful secret law of Donglei's secret realm since she was a child, when was she humiliated like that? But now, the witch goddess found out that she didn't seem to really hate Wei Suo, at least for the most recent period. She didn't even think about how to deal with this person in case she got out of trouble, nor did she curse this person in her heart. Is it that the other party keeps its promise, does not need Purdue Shenguang to deal with itself, and promises not to deal with Donglei's secret realm? But it doesn't seem to be the case. Was it because he took himself that? Obviously not. When she was tossed by her, the pain of her heart was far better than the unrestrained pleasure of her body. What is it for? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1096. Chapter 1083, Come Again. I know not to hate does not mean an acceptable reason. Just when the witch goddess stared blankly, Jiya looked at her, but her voice was heavy. I will ask you now, if he is right, you are like Yin Liwa, how would you treat him? The witch goddess breathed and raised her head, biting her lips. Jiya didn't speak, just looked at her, waiting for her answer. If someone can treat me like this, I will naturally treat him like Yin Liwa. The witch goddess gritted her teeth, and finally said it, but there was a layer of sourness in her heart. It's not too late now. Jiya's eyes seemed to be able to see through the heart of the witch goddess. You and him were enemies from the beginning, but what one does can change one's view. In fact, just like you, Yin Liwa and Shui Ling even became buddies with him even under the same conditions as you. What? Yin Liwa and Shui Ling the witch goddess' eyes widened in an instant, but her mouth widened, but she was speechless for a moment, and she couldn't believe it. Only Wai Wei and Nangong Yuking are his old knowledge in Lingyu City. Shui Ling didn't even change his true appearance at the time Jiya greeted the witch goddess and sat down. 150, Put Han Wai Wei, How to get acquainted with Wei Suo, How to be forced to leave, escape into the stingy sea, and later join the Haixianzong, How to meet the water linger, How to meet Lin Fenghua and Yin in the Tianlong Zuo Bad Yang. Speaking of his and Wei Suo's years in the stingy sea and later the shameful incident at Tianlong Zuo, Jiya's delicate face was also covered with a blush. The witch goddess was completely attracted and listened a little fascinated. This is definitely the history of the growth of a small person against the sky. Many things that Wei Suo and Jiya want to come to now are ordinary. For the super sect genius monk who is a tall witch goddess and has been training far more than other peer monks, it sounds like it is extremely thrilling. A little bit. The monk who can be killed by the Jindan monk can deal with a sect master, which is extremely crazy for the witch goddess. The mystery of Xiaoshenjia, the thrill of Tianlong Zuo encountering Lin Fenghua, the killing of the young master of the real Wuzong, the survival of a monster beast in the amazing beast tide, the battle with the monk Suan Fengmen, the wood of the flesh. It's simple, but from her mouth, it is full of different true feelings, which makes her a little fascinated. She used to know that Wei Suo's near anti-existence existed before. It used to be a small casual repair of Lingyu City, a small person at the bottom, but now this little person, in her mind, suddenly appeared so real. This little person does not rely on something to reach the sky in one step, but has such a thrilling and colorful past. He is different from most monks. Jiya pursed her lips, and she couldn't say anything shyly. She turned to look at the enchanted witch goddess and said, he can rush to the Nangong Yuking newspaper regardless of the danger. News, he can do right for us and Dongjao Resort, he can do this for Yin Liwa. If you treat him wholeheartedly, he will treat you like us. Although he is not perfect, he has a lot of ghost ideas, and he is still very impulsive. Many things, in the eyes of many people, his brain is broken. But this is what makes him different from others, Jiyaking the general said, and that's why Yin Liwa is willing to do this for him. We are also willing to do this for us. I don't know what kind of talent is a heroic figure, but he is in our such a person is in his mind. But the witch goddess was at a loss. Although you and he have been enemies from the beginning, they are only fighting for the spiritual energy, and there is no deep hatred between you and him. Don't you want to have such an escort? Even if you don't, if you can spend this difficult time with him, what kind of achievements will you have in the future? Jiya directly interrupted the witch goddess. And from the intuition of our women, you will choose him, just, if you appreciate in his words, in this case, it should not be impossible to lower your posture, after all, no one knows what will happen next time. Don't wait until you want to express your attitude, we have already suffered unexpectedly. I know you still care if he accepts you or not, but now is the crisis between him and us. I don't know how many forces are going to deal with us, you help him at this time, don't you seem more important? Do you think he will be very repulsive to you? Jia glanced at the witch goddess, and did not give the witch goddess a chance to speak. If you want to grab the hearts of others, are you afraid that others will not care about you? I understand why he did this to you. The witch goddess stayed for a moment and couldn't help looking at Jia and said, you are all the same kind of people. Even if you are right, don't you want to be the same kind of people as us? Jia continued to look at the witch goddess. Do you want to be like those people, only knowing that you are cheating each other, improving cultivation, and linking to Taoism? Lu, it's just a match for each other, do you use each other? The witch goddess appeared hesitant, obviously she was already tempted. Regardless of others, in addition to the fact that Wei Suo's position is really too dangerous, Wei Suo's conditions are really the best choice for Tao Lu. What are you waiting for? There was even a little witch goddess calling her in this way. So many powerful secrets, for the general female nuns, I am afraid to cry and shout to be his companion. Although this sounds very self-respecting, it has always been the case in this monastic world of weak meat and strong food. Almost most female practitioners will choose a powerful monk as a big chance for themselves. Moreover, even the fellows of the other party have already made such a gesture, and it is not that they have been shoved and forced to be the first, but they have to be posted as humans. But in her identity, with her consistent majesty, and with her previous hostility to Wei Suo, she still had such a mountain in her heart that she could not convince herself to turn over. In fact, now that I think about it carefully, if she chooses it, I am afraid it is best that her magical power breaks out, beat Wei Suo, and win it in one fell swoop, and then force Wei Suo to become her own mate. But, she can't beat Wei Suo again. And the most important thing is that with Wei Zhuo's mentality at this moment, I am afraid that even if she agrees, Wei Zhuo is unlikely to take the initiative to come to her and propose to let her be his fellow. Anyway, there must be at least a breakthrough in this matter. I know you still have some worries, but don't worry about this, I will meet you in a row, and then you don't need to say anything, just wait. Jia looked at the witch goddess and suddenly smiled, a blush appeared again on his face. No, I have to know what method you are going to use. As soon as the witch goddess saw Jiya's expression, she immediately couldn't help being busy. Lao Lu and I will prepare an elixir for you. When you meet, I will dissolve the medicine into it. You can only push it halfway, then you can do it. Jiya said this, his face the blush is stronger. The witch goddess was suddenly speechless, and a ridiculous thought appeared in her heart. Is it true that the rice is cooked and the rice is cooked? That's it. Jia was also thin-skinned and embarrassed to say more. She looked at the witch goddess and said this. Once she was determined, she didn't give the witch goddess a chance to refuse and turned around. Left. Thank you. But let her stunned for a moment, then a smile appeared on her face, and the witch goddess behind made a sound like this. Jia went out, but the witch goddess was a little unsure, and even a faint blush appeared on her face. I actually didn't directly refuse, and agreed to such a ridiculous thing. And after sitting down, the witch goddess was a little dazed for her approach. Han Wei, what are you refining? At this moment, in another grotto, Shui Linger found that Han Wei was sneakily refining a potion of liquid medicine. From Han Wei, she was a bit burned, even when she walked in. Judging from the situation found, this recipe for Ding liquid seems to be not simple. A good thing, do you want to use it for you? Han Wei, who was startled by Shui Ling immediately snorted, looking disgusted. Forget it, it's up to you to enjoy yourself. Shui Linger's tender face turned red immediately. Don't even say, but you must not tell my sister what I am practicing. Han Weiwei immediately warned Shui Linger. Don't let Sister Jia know. What are you doing? Shui Linger looked at Han Weiwei in surprise. No, I have to tell Sister Jia to go. You. If you dare to tell, don't blame me for trying to do something from time to time to count on you. Han Weiwei suddenly looked like a bully and hummed. If you swear you won't do that kind of thing again, I won't tell her, but you must at least tell me what this is. Shui Linger chuckled. Obviously it was Han Weiwei, a third-rate refining pharmacist. Aroused curiosity. Yes, I know how to threaten me. Well, I promise you, but after this guy meets us, you will know what it is. Han Weiwei smiled with pride. At this time, Wei Suo's figure appeared again in a sect gate, without any stay. After swept over the clouds, a silver light flashed behind him, and at least more than 10 Wei Suo flew out. He flew in all directions, but he concealed his breath again, changed his face, and quietly disappeared into the clouds. Many people think that he will definitely go to Dengxian City to collect the offerings of the sect gates, because there are a lot of water demon in those offerings. Under such circumstances, anyone who buys water demon pills again will surely be noticed, and under the circumstances that many superpowers and Wei Suo have shown their attitude to the enemy, the water demon pawns on the market are almost gone. Wei Suo wanted to quickly improve Xiu Wei and supernatural powers, and the large number of water demon clusters gathered in Dengxian City was naturally very important. But no one thought that in Wei Zhuo's plan, he did not even count these batches of water demon pill, and no one thought that he went directly to each sect door and went to get some things he wanted. And regardless of the fact that these sects dare not risk taking any information about him, it is enough for his great master to deceive the Tianjing so much that many of the powers of the era of Ling Longtian can hardly judge the true and false incarnations. All these great forces have been busy for a while, and there is also a magical weapon from the witch goddess that is specially used for escape and can be instantaneously excited, so he has no scruples at all. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1097. Chapter 1084, Determined. This is the true spirit, one symbol of the ancient Zhenling Dao, which can draw the spirit of the wood spirit within tens of thousands of miles. In ancient times, it was also used to resist the sky tribulation. A room full of dazzling eyes, at least hundreds of magic weapons and artifacts. In the simple stone chamber of the magic weapon, Ling Longtian pinched a piece of dark green ancient rune, said to the old man in green robe. Now Ling Longtian and Jia and others have already changed places. Ling Longtian and the old man in green robe, Jia and others are separated from Wei Suo. Wei Suo went out to collect things, but they were responsible organize and count the collected resources. Where they stayed, they had already decided in advance, and according to the moment they left, Wei Suo could easily determine where they were hiding. At this moment, the things previously collected from the sect gates of Dengxianzong, Huishanjiao, etc., as well as the items sent from the sect gates of the Corpse sect, Haixian sect, and Xiajia, have been completely sorted out and counted. In this humble stone room, the hundreds of magic weapons and artifacts facing them are all things that can be used to resist the sky tribulation. Although the water demon and elixir of the outside world are now controlled by the hostile forces, it is rare in the market, but with the resources they have on hand, if they are dealing with the one or two big gates like the Huaishan Church, as long as there is enough time, the resources on hand may have been able to support Wei Suo from Shenqian fourfold to Shenqian fivefold. Since receiving the warning of the ancient Tianlong and Wei Suo's own perception of the rules of vitality, Wei Suo has been certain that from the breakthrough of Shenqian's 4th level to Shenqian's 5 levels, he will face the horrible sky tribulation. Now whether it is Wei Suo's physical body and Zhuangshengxuan's cultivation practice, the cultivation method, or he is almost the enemy of the whole world, affecting the resources of several continents, it is extremely against the sky, Mu Shiu Yulan, the wind will destroy it, which is a natural avenue rule that Wei Suo has already realized. Now, he is indeed out of control. I don't know how much he can search for this time to resist the heavenly tribulation at this moment, the old man in green robe whispered after hearing Ling Longtian's explanation. This can be used to resist the magic weapon of the heavenly tribulation, and it is also very special, because when the heavenly tribulation comes, the vitality of the world will be changed for hundreds of thousands of miles, and many spells and magic weapons will even lose or temporarily change the original some powers, many things will even fail, and the various powers of this catastrophe are extremely penetrating and destroying powers, and even bring a lot of star power, only a lot of targeted things can resist. Moreover, although the old man in the green robe has not seen the sky tribulation in person, he has also read a lot of records. With the description of Ling Longtian, he is also very clear, although there are already things that can be used to resist the heaven tribulation on hand. There are as many as hundreds of pieces, but it is still not enough. Many monks broke through to the real immortal before they caused the violent fluctuations of the heaven and earth's vitality to provoke the sky tribulation. Some of them even prepared for hundreds of years, even hundreds of years. I didn't dare to cross the robbery until my life was short, but most of them ended in failure. There are more ancient treasures than ancient monastic circles. A true immortal, preparing for hundreds of years or even hundreds of years, how many magical instruments can he prepare? What a strong ban! But even so, it still ended in failure, which shows how terrifying this catastrophe is. Not to mention the hundreds of magic weapons, that is, thousands of pieces, and there is no certainty that they will survive the sky trigger. Therefore, this day's catastrophe may become the biggest limit for Wei Suoxiu to continue to improve. Under the current conditions, Wei Suo reaches the peak of Shenqian quadruple, and he dare not to take another step forward. He came. Between talking to the old man in green robe, Ling Longtian said this suddenly. Sure enough, Ling Longtian's voice had just disappeared not long after the flash of light, Wei Suo had swept in. How is it? How many things have been scraped? When the old man in the green robe saw Wei Suo rushing in, his eyes suddenly gleamed with golden light, just like the head of a bandit waiting to divide the stolen goods. Wow! Wei Suo shook his hand and reached out and threw more than 30 high-level Nabeo capsules, each of which looked full. So much, the old man in green robe shuddered with excitement. It should take some more time to sort it out, Wei Suo nodded, because this time he acted alone, so he put all the sect gates he passed through, all the things that he felt might be useful, and installed them all, and he also made it clear to those sects that if the contents were not useful, they would naturally be returned to them. This is not purely talking. He made each sect to write down the list. The reason why he now allows most sects to be in peace with him, one is because his cultivation practices and supernatural powers, and the other is the important reason is that he acted with great credibility and said he could do it. This is the Dragon Elephant Guardian Seal. I obtained it from the Dragon Elephant Gate. Although some sect gates are not large, they have great inheritance. This technique is a skill that can be exerted above Jindan, and it is also a simulation of the power of the avenue. After casting it, it was like having 2 more shields. It was very useful at this time. Everyone including Ji Yat and Nangong Yuking also entered the stone room. When they saw them enter, Wei Suo did not. What nonsense, flashes of light on the body, but there are 2 white giant squares on the outside, 2 of which are more than 3 people in size, one is a dragon on top, and the other is a tiger, one Long Yu who looks extremely powerful, as if to jump out of the French seal. This is the Taoist nature of the natural section. This technique can disperse a lot of power that impacts on the flesh, and it is also very useful. At the same time, Wei Suo placed 2 jade symbols in front of Ji Yat and others. Sure enough, it's an extraordinary mystery. The sect of the world should not be underestimated. After seeing the two verses handed over by Weisuo, Jia and others also exclaimed. The dragon elephant guardian seal of the dragon elephant gate can be turned around before the enemy, just like having two more shields out of thin air. You don't have to worry about it when you fight, and wait until the power can be disbanded. It turns out. And with the monks of this level of Weisuo, the defensive power of these two French seals is probably almost the same as the immortal net bottle, but it will be defeated. As for the Taoism of the sect of nature, it is an extremely useful mystery. It can splash the power that impacts on the flesh and splashes a part of it into the ground around the body. This is equivalent to being integrated with the heaven and the earth. Let the heaven and earth bear the secret of some monks' physical damage. There is also a method of vomiting in the Guangfa Tiangong, which can slowly strengthen the blood and improve the physical training, but the process is slower. This is not useful to me, but it is still useful to you. There is also this hopefulness. From these sects, Weisuo apparently also obtained an amazing number of useful secrets, and took out 2 pieces of jade symbols one after another. Now time is running out, you can take out all these techniques, we can see for ourselves. Weisuo still needs to explain again, but was interrupted by Han Weiwei, which goddess has something to do with you, maybe you have to talk to you. Condition. She still has that divine pattern and the cipher text of the mixed golden fragment on your hand. It's very important that you go to see her first. She wants to talk to me about the conditions. Okay, Weisuo nodded, and all the 5 or 6 pieces of jade symbols with good secrets in it were nodded. In his current state, Zhen Yuangziu is breaking through to the 4 peaks of Shenzhen, and he will face the huge bottleneck of heavenly tribulation, which cannot be broken through for a while. Therefore, in this case, the engraving of Dao Xuanhuan and the comprehension of Dao jurisdiction as well as other supreme strong laws, it is even more important. The mixed gold fragments of the size of the roof of the huge house from Linfenghua, the circle is complicated like a galaxy, and it seems to be related to the many complex stars. Even the Linglong heaven feels extremely extraordinary, even beyond her time. The power of magic, the existence of magic weapon, this thing must be very extraordinary, and the cipher text above is likely to record something more amazing. After all, before the era of Linglongtian, there were more powerful laws that existed against the sky than the water emperor's devouring sun and the ancient saint king. Go, I will take you there. When Weisuo nodded, Han Weiwei's imperceptible look flashed, but she first led the way in the front, and even unconsciously squeezed Shui Linger. She was also caught hand. In the other stone room, the witch goddess sat on the ground, happy for a while, worried for a while, and looked very good. But, suddenly, she shuddered and stood up, but her eyes flashed with shock and shyness. Witch goddess, I have brought you here for you, and I have arranged things for you. Anyway, my sister and you have agreed with you, but you should not regret it. A breeze rushed in, and Han Weiwei, Shui Linger and Weisuo appeared in front of the witch goddess, but Han Weiwei looked at the witch goddess immediately and said such a sentence. Jia and her agreed things. Hearing Han Weiwei's words, Weizhuo couldn't help but stun slightly. You don't have to worry about it. Han Weiwei clicked, shattered a pill bottle, and Zhen Yuan fluttered between them, but 2 groups of vermilion medicines hit Weisuo and the witch goddess. Okay, after that, Han Weiwei and Shui Linger didn't stop. They squeaked out of the grotto, but at the same time they brought the humble slate door. Relax, there is a soundproof ban outside, and no sound can be heard. Whatever you want to say at the same time, Han Weiwei also made such a voice. This. Weisuo frowned, and Han Weiwei's medicine instantly penetrated into his body. This medicine was also very overbearing. It melted in his body and instantly formed a general turbulent situation in the rivers and rivers. His cultivation method, if he used the techniques of the ancient fierce fire tactics, he can also burn all the power out of the body, but he does not know what they meant by Jia and Han Weiwei. What is the effect of medicine? It is naturally impossible to burn the medicine instantly with self-consumption. Yep. Just in one breath, the power of the medicine was completely oscillated in his body, and a strange heat suddenly rose from his body, with a smell of déjà vu. Uncontrollable in his mind, many pictures emerged in an instant: the first time to soak in the hot spring with Nangong Yuking, the first time with Ji Ya, in the Tianlongzuo, when waking up, with Yin Liwa, scenery of Ji Ya, Shui Ling Han Wei, and Nangong Yuking. This. He reacted in an instant, his body shuddered slightly, and a very ridiculous feeling suddenly appeared in his mind. Weisuo. At this moment, the witch goddess bit her lip, made up her mind, and walked towards him. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1098. Chapter 1085, Change Me This Time. I've already thought about it, and I'll be your companion. As soon as the witch goddess walked in front of Weisuo, she looked out like nothing, and looked at Weisuo said, "It's Ji Ya's idea, but I do agree." Weisuo was stunned. He really didn't know what Ji Ya and others said to the witch goddess, which would have caused a 180-degree change in the attitude of the witch goddess. The witch goddess did not speak, but she gritted her teeth and took off her vest. Weisuo also wanted to ask the witch goddess again, "Are you really not thinking about it? And Ji Ya is right. I will help you wholeheartedly in this kind of crisis, so that you will accept me easily and you will know how good I am for you. To be your buddy, it's really a matter of sitting and enjoying, and it really doesn't make any sense." But the witch goddess interrupted him directly. The witch goddess was almost as tall as him. In front of him, people couldn't help but feel excited. "Weisuo, no matter how we complained before, how you treated me, but if I became your buddy, I would certainly treat you like Yin Liwa. Are you really determined to be my companion?" This sentence completely shook Weisuo, making his expression dignified. The witch goddess didn't answer, but she gritted her teeth again, completely spitting out, and made a movement that made her face burn like a fire. With one point in her hands, she took off Weisuo's vestment. Although she felt completely shameless when she made up her mind, but in fact, except for that time, she was not beaten by any man, so although she was a majestic emperor, she actually there is not much difference from Shui Ling. When doing this, I still feel ashamed. Weisuo's body was unconsciously stiff, but the look on his face was more dignified. If so, he would naturally treat Ji Ya as well as they treated the witch goddess, and naturally would not treat the witch goddess as a concubine. "I know what you mean, I know that you may not be able to accept it, but I understand that I can give you time, and I will treat you wholeheartedly like them, and I believe you will not be indifferent." It's hard to be ashamed, but instead he looked out and looked at Weisuo's eyes and said, "But now the ancestors you are provoking, the opponents, can't give you too much time, so even if I beg you, don't you reject me. I am a small profiteer in Lingyu City, and not a hypocritical hypocrite." Weisuo looked at the witch goddess and said in earnest, "If so, I will naturally give you a name, and I will certainly live and die with you. A female cultivator who is so sacred and quasi-heavy, and has already practiced with him, coupled with the fact that he is showing his heart at this moment, if he still refuses, then he will feel that he is too hypocritical. And I have another reason why I can't refuse it. In addition to the heavenly falling heart, there is a supreme and powerful method in the mysterious realm of Donglei, which is also a secret method of double cultivation." To find the real reason for the Taoist, after hearing Weisuo's words, the witch goddess nodded, but said the same thing again. The supreme secret of double cultivation. Weisuo's heart was shocked. "You have to know that heavenly sky is the supreme method of conquering the enemy," and listening to the meaning of the witch goddess, this double secret method is obviously at the same level as heavenly sky. Amazing. This mysterious secret practice in Donglei's mysterious realm is called Tongxin Tianyu. In our current situation, it's very useful, and this practice must be done by the Taoist priests before they can be performed. It also happens to be practicable. The witch goddess looked at Weisuo and continued. Tongxin Tianyu, What kind of secret is it? Wei Suo's brow suddenly wrinkled, because of a violent medicine, suddenly metamorphosed, gathered towards his abdomen. Tongxin Tianyu is a supreme force that can open the void channel between the Xuanziu companions. The witch goddess looked at Wei Suodeo, and looked out again, regardless of shame, but his face was he clearly explained with shyness. This method of supreme double cultivation is equivalent to the engraving of the Dao's law during the double cultivation. In short, it is equivalent to the engraving of both the Taoists. Just like the magic weapon of Dengxian ancient platform, when one party launches it at that time, it can be immediately transmitted to the side of another monk. What is the supreme strong law, is equivalent to the monk, established a teleportation circle in general. Wei Suo's body shook violently, an incredible look flashed in his eyes, and he was truly shocked. Opening up space channels, this is the real hold efficiency technique, even above his whole defense footwork. And this technique, both sides of the companion, also have a unique mental and spiritual connection. If one side is in danger, the other side will immediately feel it. The witch goddess still seems to feel that Wei Suo is not shocked enough, and added this sentence. There is such a supreme mystery. Wei Suo took a deep breath and tried his best to calm down his mind from the extreme shock. How far can the concentric heavens between such double cultivating monks span? This is to see Wei. The witch goddess' face was completely red. The more Xuangziu, the more distance spanned. Do you mean that the more the double cultivation, the higher the cultivation, the longer the teleportation array can reach? Wei Suo's mind is completely above this powerful method, but there is not much think. Say what you think, then you estimate, based on our cultivation practice, how far can it be transmitted from the beginning? This supremely powerful method is that as soon as one person initiates, a space channel will be opened immediately. Come to another person, can its power be the same as the teleportation circle, and drive others to teleport? Any teleportation circle is also the intersection of various vitality laws. The witch goddess nodded, blushing. This supreme technique is equivalent to engraving us into a teleportation circle. When excited, it also constitutes the vitality law that opens up space channels. As long as the power is enough, it can naturally bring other people together. Maybe we will come down this time, there should be no problem. I can drive others, there is no record in the classics, but I don't know. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1099. Chapter 1086. Yin Yang Void Demon Realm. The wind and rain Xue, the two goddesses of the witch goddess, shivered slightly. Although I realized the beauty that I didn't realize at the last time, even with her fourfold physical body, she still can't bear Wei Suo's strong physical body like the ancient Tianlong. Husband, I'll make the hair for you. But the witch goddess still straightened up and knelt behind Wei Suo, not wearing a vest, nor caring about the traces of the stormy waves all over her body, but hugged Wei Suo from the back and said softly. Not hair. Wei Suo stunned slightly. The witch goddess has now recovered its original appearance. Like the previous assumption of the Xuanhuan son, the emperor-like witch goddess and his double cultivation also gave him an unimaginable visual and mental impact, and it was carried out under the guidance of the witch goddess. The secret practice of double cultivation also made him unable to bear the aftertaste at the moment. This is the habit of our Yuhan mainland. After the two sides formally form a buddy, the nuns will make hair for each other, to show that no matter how noble the ancestors were before they became buddies, they must treat the buddies very seriously, respect each other, the witch goddess explained, looking at Wei Suo with some doubts. A few strands of Wei Suo's hair were gathered in both hands, and weaving began. It turned out that the custom of Yuhan mainland, the so-called hair knitting, is to braid the braids of his own companions, and the ends of these braids are used to bind, but the female silk is used. Then, according to the customs of your Yuhan mainland, after the two sides have formed an escort, What does the male cultivator want to do for the female cultivator? The refining vessel, the witch goddess explained Wei Suo seriously. According to the custom of our Yuan mainland, after the two sides formally formed a fellowship, the male practitioner would refinish a magical instrument, or it is a magic weapon, regardless of grade, but all materials must be collected in the wilderness by hand to show bravery and loyalty. Good. The attitude of the witch goddess caused Wei Suo to take it seriously, nodded, and solemnly said, "When we get through this robbery, I will definitely follow your customs in Yuan mainland and personally help you refine it." Something. Okay, husband, see if you are satisfied. The witch goddess movement stopped, and the light flashed, but a crystal light was condensed in front of it, and the appearance of Wei Suo was printed like a mirror. Wei Suo suddenly stunned. The witch goddess knotted her hair very dexterously, and all her loose hair behind her head was gathered by her and became a beautiful braid, while most of the rest of her hair was straight, but still like a waterfall generally hanging. It was just such a small change. The crystal printed in him looked more refreshing and elegant, full of lightness and vulgarity. In the past, Wei Suo saw Su Xuanhuan and Lin Taixu and other people, but it was absolutely that the other party was indeed Jianmei, much more handsome than himself, but now it seems that he seems to be much better than those people. Satisfied, very satisfied, looking at the look of the witch goddess, Wei Suo could not help but nodded in amazement, and could not help but laughed a little self-deprecatingly. So I can be like this Yushu Linfen. Fijun was originally a dragon in man. It is indeed a blessing to be able to form a fellowship with Fijun. The witch goddess was a little shy, but she became serious again. It's about time. Do you want to try ours first, Tongzin Tianyu, or do you go first? The place I am going to go this time may be very dangerous. With this technique, there is a little more protection. Try this secret method first. I will help you change your clothes. Wei Suo turned his head, but tried not to look at the witch goddess, because at this moment the witch goddess, who was innocent, still gave a strong visual and mental impact, especially the muddy and damp place. It was easier to recall the details of the talent. It makes people's hearts sway. A spirit of water spirit oscillated out of Wei Suo's body, and the two were wrapped in it. The spirit of water spirit was dispersed, and the two bodies were not stained with dust, and they could not be said to be fresh and refined. Go, they should all be waiting. Wei Suo smiled slightly at the witch goddess and put on a vest for the witch goddess. Fijun. Although the Wujing goddess has always been high and has a supreme status, she has never felt such a feeling of men and women. At this moment, it is such a small thing. Looking at Wei Suo's smile, the Wujing goddess is extremely warm and full of hearts. The unspeakable feeling, the intuition that this feeling of men and women is so wonderful, it really makes people give up everything. Everyone had gathered in the cave where Ling Longtian and the old man in green robe counted things. Wei Sa has completely lifted the ban. It seems to be done. As soon as Wei Suo and the witch goddess walked into this grotto, most people like Qilong Mountain immediately had such thoughts in their hearts. Between Lianbu's light movements, although the witch goddess followed Wei Suo's side, she also completely condensed her breath, but there was a completely different powerful power from the past that exuded from her body, making people instantly feel invisible pressure. Your medicine doesn't seem to be working. Are you ruined? Shui Linger looked at Wei Suo and the witch goddess and walked in, but immediately whispered to Han Wei slightly. Although I don't know the specific situation, Shui Linger clearly felt it, and Wei Suo added a bit of mysterious aura, which was very different from before. Han Wei also rolled his eyes in depression. Wei Daijinjun, did you wear a braid? Was the witch goddess knotted for you? Really beautiful. Yin Liwa, surrounded by a grim mass of death, smiled slightly and looked at Wei Suo and the witch goddess. Although at this moment she has become an immortal mortal, just like the undead monster recorded in the classics, but she is open-minded and trusts Wei Suo's promise, and knows that these people will not look at her with strange eyes, so her heart, but there is nothing special about it, it is still the same as usual. Yes, This is the custom of our continent in Yuheng. After forming a Taoist companion, he bowed and bowed for the Taoist companion to show his respect for the Taoist companion. A salute to Ji Ya, Han Weiwei, Yin Liwa, Nangong Yuking, and Shui Linger said, although I am the oldest, according to the customs of our Yuheng mainland, it is the latest to enter the room, so it will be small in the future, call you sisters. Sister, I was offended before, and please don't worry about it immediately, the witch goddess saluted Han Weiwei alone and said seriously. This, Han Weiwei was completely dumbfounded. The attitude of the witch goddess made her feel embarrassed instead. Why does this make, or I call your sister? Shui Linger was so blushed by the witch goddess so seriously, and after saying this sentence, he was thin-skinned and his jade face was even redder to the root of the neck. According to our Tianqian continent, there is not so much attention, but this cheap guy Nangong Yuking smiled, stepped forward to hold the hand of the witch goddess, and gave Wei Suo another glance. For the monks of the Tianqian continent themselves, there is no concept of size between the Taoists. Will I have one more hour, ching 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 me and me? If you missed the Yuanyan ancestors, don't blame me for not reminding you at this time. Ling Longtian was still the same as before, and was very annoyed at Wei Suomo. Grinding teeth, saying this, and at the same time, the things piled in this cave are kept in the hands and feet, and they are quickly collected into the sleeves of her bottomless vest. When I tried a spell, I left immediately. Wei Suo, who had long been accustomed to Ling Longtian, also said that he didn't mind it. What technique? As soon as he heard the trial technique, Han Weiwei became curious and asked first. You will know in a moment, I still don't know what the specific effect is. Wei Suo was a little embarrassed to explain, but just said this first. Either you or they should leave with Immortal Jade Mountain first, and wait for me to launch this technique then. Wei Suo looked at the witch goddess and asked for her advice. Fijun is the master. Yuheng mainland's etiquette seems to be much more disciplined than Tianqian continental. Hearing Wei Suo said, the witch goddess is slightly awed and said. What's the trick? Can't we see it in front? Hearing Wei Suo say this, Han Weiwei and others were even more curious, and there was no nonsense. After Ling Longtian will pile up all the things in this cave that haven't had time to count, all except Wei Suo, all of them flew out. Relying on the hidden breath of Immortal Jade Mountain, proceed directly to the next agreed direction. Among the caves created temporarily, only Wei Suo was left. Wei Suo did not move, but his eyes flickered, and it seemed that he was sensing something. After a while, his breath suddenly shook. As the breath of his body expanded, dreamy green arcs radiated in front of him, instantly forming an oval mask. The green arcs condensed like the deepest emerald. A unique spatial vitality law. Breath, shocked. What is this? At the moment when Wei Suo suddenly started, in the void, Han Weiwei and others who were all on a white jade mountain suddenly widened their eyes. They saw that the body of the witch goddess suddenly burst into countless godlike patterns. The resulting green arc light also formed an oval emerald-like light mask in the goddess weak. As if a magic weapon suddenly emerged from the void, Wei Suo's figure suddenly stepped out of the void and appeared beside the witch goddess. What's this? The old man in green robe screamed in disbelief. Is this a foolproof method? This is the supreme force of their Donglei secret realm Tongxin Tianyu. What is the concentric heaven? This is the yin and yang void demon. Wei Suo's explanation was not finished, but he was interrupted by the violently flashing Ling Long heaven in his eyes. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1100. Chapter 1111. I can count the true biography. Tathagata Divine Glow, the supreme that once made Eastern Tathagata reach its peak, was finally presented in front of Wei Suo's. Divine consciousness is the spirit and consciousness. This Tathagata divine glow is completely penetrated into this level. At this level, killing, intercourse, is like directly killing each other's energy, perception, judgment, reaction, and even memory. This supreme is strong, recorded, completely out of the physical level, as if to open a new great treasure door to Wei Suo. However, Wei Suo did not directly immerse himself in the surgery that could be said to be related to his life and death, but he continued to look down on this Dao technique. Because there is another trick below, Paradise Divine Fire. Eastern Tathagata. The only message is very simple, but Wei Suo can clearly feel the joy and freedom of Eastern Tathagata. This Paradise Divine Fire is left after the Eastern Tathagata Great Treasure, probably on top of the Void Walking Step and the Tathagata Divine Glow. Now his lust shape can be said to be extremely dangerous, and the great treasure that can be chased can come at any time. If Paradise Divine Fire is more great treasure for him now, he naturally has to first learn about Paradise Divine Fire. With Void Walking Step and Tathagata Divine Glow as, this Paradise Divine Fire is such a strong. Wei Suo looked at the scripture of Paradise Divine Fire left by Eastern Tathagata, unconsciously reading it in the heart, trying to figure out the meaning of it word by word, unconsciously, but in the heart of the great treasure is surprised, in the vest, take out a layer of cold sweat. The Paradise Divine Fire of Eastern Tathagata turned out to be a sensation from the Void Walking Step and the Tathagata Divine Glow, creating a supreme that can penetrate the void. The meaning of this article is to say that any tangible thing, want to break through the void limit, must overcome the astonishing obstacle, just like a fly done great treasure, an astonishing degree. The sound waves produced by the impact airflow is to lose a lot of powerful energy scripture, but divine consciousness sweep out, consciousness, what you want in secret place, then immediately to where secret place, compared to the physical things, but is a lot less obstacles. Therefore, this whole penetrates the strength of the void, but with pure spirit and consciousness, intangible things, first penetrate the void, and then in the secret place void, lead to powerful energy. This scripture, except for the powerful energy itself, opens several different worlds in front of Wei Suo's, giving him a kind of instant enlightenment. Many of his previous knowledge have extreme great treasure limitations, even great treasure. The feeling of error. Spirit and mind are intangible in themselves, but according to the Tathagata Divine Glow scripture annotation, this can also be understood as a unique powerful energy, the power of divine soul. Since divine consciousness can mobilize the entire physical movement of the cultivator, true Yuan flows. If the strong treasure is to a certain extent, the perceived and powerful energy is enough to directly touch some of the origin chi, it can naturally produce the powerful energy of the strong great treasure. The meaning of this Paradise Divine Fire is very simple. It is simple to describe, that is, as long as you want to put a dish on a table, it is not necessary to fry the dish in the kitchen. It can be made directly on the table. But the premise is that you have to control the established origin chi rule, you have to get the raw materials of these dishes on this table. Previously, Wei Suo thought that all the powerful energy, naturally, must call true Yuan first, then generate powerful energy, and then powerful energy, saying that true Yuan is played, hitting the other party to stimulate power, but Eastern Tathagata scripture, but it also made him also have an epiphany, knowing that his previous power for the real void walking and shatter void is a complete mistake. The power of the real void walking and shatter void is not to shoot a strong power at all, to smash a void, but to mobilize this piece of vain strong great treasure origin chi, so that this piece of emptiness collapses itself, and nothing happens. Exist. To break a hard and precious treasure stone, it takes a lot of effort, but if it can change the great treasure stone itself, it will become fragile like ordinary ice, and it will be crushed. It's a lot simpler. It can be said that this Paradise Divine Fire is a sudden let Wei Suo, touched the most powerful force in the cultivation world, the little side of the legendary Shatter Void. This Dao technique is just to use divine consciousness as true Yuan. Divine consciousness has such a powerful energy, I am afraid that with my divine ability, I can't use it at the peak of divine mystic fifth layer. Now it is absolutely no control. After a complete read of this article scripture, Wei Suo Lenovo to Ancient Emperor Eyes in the Black Corpse Divine, pierce the void enemy, light way on the complete understanding, Suo ancient ko rpse deo technique, is also the same truth, is stronger great treasure powerful energy, to break through the boundary, into the void, the resistance will be more great treasure, so this kind of surgery, are the invisible divine consciousness, first into the void, and then touch strong great treasure. Powerful energy, a kind of near will divine consciousness as true UN to use the feeling. This paradise divine fire, I am afraid at least to the peak of his divine mystic fifth layer, is likely to be displayed, so he is only the first to enter the cultural Tathagata divine glow. However, in addition to the joy of fortunateness and insight, Wei Suo's heart is not half-hearted, because this Tathagata divine glow, Equitotu is the basis of this paradise divine fire, no controls Tathagata divine glow, let alone divine consciousness into the void. This paradise divine fire is in the void of infinite sun true fire, and brings together the force of void rupture. Powerful energy is certainly not lower than heaven level top rank, if I can control this Deo technique, is void golden gourd, in front of me also did not use secret place, Zantai Linglan even with void golden gourd into the void, I can also and that ancient emperor corpse the same, directly into the void to kill the enemy. Wei Suo also knows that this paradise divine fire, which he always wanted to get, can penetrate the void and deal with Zantai Linglan's technique. It's a pity that this Tathagata divine glow and paradise divine fire are not well maintained or enhanced by divine consciousness. Looking back at the scripture of Tathagata divine glow, Wei Suo sighed a little, and he knew that his lust shape was still not optimistic. When faced with the young man in Huai, he must still want to be a predecessor. Otherwise, he will be beaten by the divine consciousness of the young man in Huai. If he wins, he will definitely win. Now he only hopes that these people will come slower, so that after he has learned the Deo technique, there are still some time to warm divine consciousness. As for the technique itself, this Tathagata divine glow, originally from spirit race, which was used by desolate race as a bait, is the unknown divine consciousness to the young people. Cutting it. His Deo technique hit, but only to kill a knife, but this Tathagata divine glow is not only killing a knife, but also burning flames in the wound, burning, for divine consciousness damage is more great treasure, more durable. As long as the first action can be taken, the young man in Huai is afraid that there will be no threat. After the great treasure in his heart, Wei Suo suddenly did not think about it, and all his spirit was completely immersed in the enlightenment of Tathagata divine glow. I don't know how long it took. Wei Suo only felt that his entire divine soul seemed to be out of the flesh, as in the vast void of his own, watching his body, the whole spirit, consciousness, there is a kind of boundless infinite feeling. Chi. 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 Suddenly, a series of violent surging sounds resounded through the great treasure thousand. Wei Suo suddenly woke up from this strange mood, and suddenly felt a pain in the eyebrows, like a fire line. Ah! At about the same time, Wei Suo only felt his own eyebrows in his mind, as if there was a fire burning, it was painful to enter the marrow, as if in the whole consciousness, it was nailed into countless hot spikes. But at the same time, Wei Suo's heart is instead filled with an inexplicable ecstasy. At this moment, he felt that his own divine sense directly entered the void and brought up an unspeakable powerful energy. This is simply killing the enemy with the will and ideas of a strong great treasure. With this door to Tathagata divine glow, if this time I can kill away, I can even realize the same divine ability as Sword King old ancestor. Draw a divine sense, like the same God. Tathagata divine glow. This is Tathagata divine glow. This technique was finally realized and controlled by Wei Suo. The reason why it was applied at this time was as painful as it was, because of the trauma of his own divine consciousness, the equate to involve the secret place. And at this moment, Wei Suo thinks that Sky Sword Sex Sword King old ancestor almost killed his divine sense, and got more sentiment. This secret place is the place where the East is like a breakthrough, and in the midst of it, after thousands of years, Wei Suo's sentiment in this secret place is probably more. Eastern Tathagata, you are a sacred figure, but unfortunately Eastern Desolate Sect is not ruined and destroyed in my hands, but I am really getting your inheritance, I can be your pro-discipline disciple. In the heart, such a thought flashed, and Wei Suo performed a great treasure ceremony on the 3 scriptures. Then he closed his eyes again, like dead, cast, and kept warm. Divine consciousness is up. At the moment there is no strong spiritual herb, it is impossible to restore divine consciousness injury completely, but now Tathagata divine he has full control, for him, as long as his glow divinesness can restore to make him Tathagata divine glow unharmed, now cultivation world, all the appearance of these great treasure can, if alone against the enemy, he feared also only 4 arms desolate race gre treasure can an ancient emperor corpse. It was a motionless disc sitting on the ground, I don't know how long it took, Wei Suo's naked body suddenly shocked and opened his eyes. How long has it been since I started training Tathagata divine glow, as if he felt the movement outside, after opening his eyes, Wei Suo reached out and calmed down and untied one of Black Bodhi Tianmu's restrictions, allowing Black Bodhi Tianmu to speak. I don't think this secret place actually has such a strong supreme. The restrictions of Black Bodhi Tianmu were untied, but they looked like a sigh of disappointment, completely ignoring the previous embarrassment and hysteria. You want to see how I fall, but it's a pity that you can't see it. I keep you, but it allows you to see the end of those who chase me. Wei Suo's eyes narrowed slightly. If you want to die, you don't have any nonsense with me. If I pass all the skills I know to you, can you let us go through our exaltation sect? Black Bodhi opened the open mouth, she couldn't help but ask, but after opening the open mouth, she said this sentence. I feel too tired today, because the cold is not completely good, I want to take a break, so today is 2 more, the next is around 4 o'clock in the afternoon.